You want me to go ahead?
Reintroduce you?
No,
Okay.
no, no need. Hey, first of all, I would like to say good afternoon, everyone. I'm Supervisory Special Agent Eddie Winkley of the FBI. I work out the Washington Field Office in Washington, D.C., but I'm proud to say I'm an alumni of Lincoln University. Came out of Lincoln in way back when. Let's just say way back when, okay? First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Gossett for having me come and speak with you all. This is truly a privilege and honor to be here, to always be able to come back and give back to the university that has been so good to me, okay? Now, I want you all to help me out with some. I learned this at homecoming because I missed quite a few homecomings. So after hearing this, I'm kind of excited about it, so I'm going to try it. L-L-L-L. You. L-L-L-L. You. L-L-L-L. You. Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah, you guys are very lively. The first group, I mean, it was in the morning. I'm pretty sure that they were kind of tired, exhausted, but no, you guys are pretty lively. You know, the football team, they kind of disappointed me at homecoming, but I mean, you know, they gave it a good try. Anybody on the football team in here? Okay.
Mr. Canamore.
Who is?
Mr. Canamore, but he is not here.
Oh, he's not here. Okay. Well, I can talk about him a little bit because, yeah, I was always mad at the football team when I was here because they always used to jump line in the cafeteria, you know, to eat, and you know, they're kind of bullies. So. But no, I'm just kidding. Some of my best friends were on the football team. That was, you know, good group of individuals, a good group. And I'm sure this football team, they're going to turn it around. There's no doubt about that. It's a very good program, and they have an extremely good coach that went to my high school. Who's Mike Jones? Y'all know that? Yeah. Y'all know the rap, okay? All right, but yeah, he went to my high school. He's under me, though. He was probably 4, 5, 6 years under me, but yeah, he went to Southwest High School in Kansas City, so I'm sure he's going to turn that program around. I would be remiss if I didn't introduce two very important women in my life. My mother, she's from Kansas City, Missouri. I brought her. I flew in from Washington, D.C., so of course you can't come to the Midwest without seeing Mom and hanging out with her for a little while. And then also my wife, Mia Winkley. She's also a special agent. She's out the Baltimore field office. So I work in Washington, D.C. She works in Baltimore. We live kind of in the midway point. But she's here also. She was a political science major, so if anybody have any questions after class for her, she was a political science major. And I think the majority in here is probably political science, or you're trying to decide what you want to do. But okay. Well, I was criminal justice major here, so it was an excellent program. Most of my class was with Dr. Robinson. He has since passed on, but he was an outstanding criminal justice instructor. Before I begin, I did want to give a shout out to those from St. Louis, Missouri, the Cardinals who won. Now, I hate to say this, and don't get mad at me, I was kind of pulling for the Rangers, but you know, but I'm okay with it because, you know, it's Missouri, you know, it's Missouri, so I was fine with that. What I'm going to do is talk a little bit about the special agent position and what I did to become a special agent, you know, a little bit about my background and where I was from. Some people are under this huge myth that, you know, special agents have to be a certain type of person. And part of what I want to tell you is kind of proving some of them myths wrong, how I was brought up and where I came from and my background. And then I want to try to open it up for any questions that you all may have. But the most important thing I want you to take out of today is dreaming big. It's not about the FBI, it's about what you want to do. Any field of human endeavor that you want to pursue. I just want you to dream big, and then I want you to engage. Try to meet the requirements or standards of whatever you want to do, and go ahead and engage. It's time to do it. It's time to get it started. And right now, while you're at Lincoln, this is the time. Right now, this is where you want to take advantage of it. But as I mentioned, I came from born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri, born at KU Medical Center. You know about that? Okay. Well, that's where I grew up. And is anybody, some of you all from Kansas City? Okay. All right. All right. Good deal. All right. Well, I grew up on 52nd in Brooklyn, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with that area, but that is considered the inner city. And as everybody know, within the inner city, there are some bad elements that you're exposed to. And I was no different. I was exposed to all of those bad elements that come with the inner city. I was exposed to drugs. I mean, they were there every day. Every time I lived across the street from a park, every time I walked through, people was under the shelter house getting high, selling, and offering it to me. I've been shot at. I've been robbed at gunpoint, stripped of all my clothing, all the things that most people go through in the inner city. But one thing that kind of helped me is I was always involved in sports. Always, growing up, football season, basketball, baseball. I always got involved because I'm a true believer that idle time is the devil's workshop. So you always want to stay busy doing something, staying involved. That'll keep you out of trouble usually. And that's what helped me. That really did. I went to Southwest High School. I was bussed out there for, they were trying to integrate a lot of the schools. So I was bussed to Southwest High School. And that's where I ended up playing football. Now, during that time, Southwest, I don't know about your time, but during that time, Southwest High School always won the football championship. So I was a part of, but I was a part of some of that success. I wasn't the star player on the team, but I mean, I would like to think that I did contribute to, some part of their success. From there, that's how I got introduced to Lincoln University. The head football coach at Lincoln came down to look at some film on myself, and there was this receiver on our team. And of course, I must not have been that good because he didn't offer me a scholarship, but he did tell me a lot about Lincoln University and how I should come down and try to walk on the football team and, possibly get a scholarship in my sophomore year. That's when I started thinking about college, college. I had never considered that. I had always considered the Marines. The Marines was kind of important to me because everybody in my neighborhood, they either strung out, they either, let's just say this, the best thing they did was usually go to the military. So I was always thinking Marines, Marines. And plus I had an uncle that was in the Vietnam War. He was a war hero. He got all type of medals. He threw a grenade and he did all these wonderful things. My mother even had a picture of him shaking hands with the president, Lyndon B. Johnson. And I used to, about once a week, read the articles about him. And I was always proud and thinking, I need to serve my country in some type of capacity. And so the Marines was the only option I ever knew until, like I said, I came in contact with that football coach from Lincoln. Then I started thinking along those lines. Well, maybe I should consider that. And at the time, there was no war, so I knew I wouldn't be able to go to the Marines and save anybody. So I started thinking, okay, well, maybe I should consider college. I was the first one to graduate from college in my family, so I didn't have any reference point whatsoever. me and my mother, we were kind of struggling. She was trying to get me to Pell Grant, and we were working through those type of things. And so we were kind of going through that learning process together. She brought me down here to Lincoln University, and you know, we saw Perry Hall. Perry Hall was the first dorm I stayed in. Is that still the freshman dorm? Or I'm sorry. Oh, it's a co-ed? Co-ed? Really? Things have really changed. Wow, okay. Co-ed dorms, okay. Yeah, Perry Hall at the time was a freshman dorm. I knew nothing about, you know, getting established in school, and I just remember my mother said, hey, I'm here with you for a day to try to help you out, but I'm going to get on this Greyhound bus and get back to Kansas City, and you're basically on your own. It's time to be a man. You're on your own. We went over to the administrative building, met with a counselor. He told me about what school is like, and I'll never forget this. He said, you know, you're just a freshman. I think you should take 12 credit hours. And I remember looking at my mom and saying, Mom, I got to go to school for 12 hours a day? There's no way. That's just how illiterate we was when it came to college. You know, I didn't know. But Lincoln staff are great. I mean, they helped me through this whole process. They was always willing to talk to you and instill pride in you. You know, basically letting you know you can do anything. Anything. The world is open to you. And this is where it starts here at Lincoln University. I had very close relationships with all my professors, everybody I came in contact with, the administration. They all knew me by name. I knew them. You know, we see each other out and about. So that was the great thing about coming here to Lincoln University. I felt like a fish out of water here. I don't know if some of you all have had to go through this, but I mean, when I first got here, I remember there was my roommate was from Memphis, Tennessee. And this guy, he could not sleep unless he was listening to music loud, but he didn't have on headphones. And the guy snored like crazy, you know, so I never could get any sleep. But, you know, he also, every time I came back to my room, I don't know if you all have experienced this, all his boys would be in there and they sitting on my bed. And I don't know how you all feel, but I don't like people sitting on my bed, you know. So he had some financial issues about a week or two. He ended up having to leave school, and I've always said it's a good thing because I think I was going to kill him. So I wouldn't be an FBI agent to this day. But, you know, it was some very good experiences here at Lincoln. You know, some of my closest friends is from Lincoln. I mean, I've known them ever since I left here. And I mean, we're constantly in contact. I know some of you in fraternities. I got fraternity brothers that, I mean, to this day, we talk almost once, you know, every week or so. But we stay in contact. This is where you form good, solid bond relationships that'll carry you through life. So make sure, you know, you help enhance those relationships while you're here. I mean, I think it's extremely, extremely important. Lincoln University, while I was here, I didn't really have a set, you know, I didn't have a set major when I first got here. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, I dibbled and dabbled in so many different areas. At one while, I thought I could be an art major because I could draw or diddle a little bit, until I took this art appreciation or art history class. And that's when I found out, man, this is really like studying. So that wasn't the way to go. I tried a little bit of fashion merchandising because I thought I could dress a little bit at the time. I did mass communication because I DJ'd a couple of parties and I thought I could possibly go that route. But when I really got focused is, I had Dr. Robinson, my criminal justice major. He brought an individual in that was with the FBI. At that time, I've never really seen an FBI agent before, you know, and for this man to come to Lincoln University and speak to us, dang, a light just clicked on for some reason. And like I was telling the first class, it was in this exact same room. Of course, it wasn't as fancy at the time, but it was in this exact same room where, you know, the guy came and spoke. I can't remember anything that he said, nothing. I just remember saying, I think that's probably going to be for me. I do kind of remember him saying something about, you know, being a public servant and serving your country. Well, bam, that's when I started thinking about criminal justice. That immediately became my major right after that, criminal justice. I started researching about the FBI. At the time, they didn't have Google online. You couldn't do all that. You had to go to the library and call around. And I started really gathering as much information as I could about being a special agent. I had a lot of people tell me, nah, you can't be a special agent. Special agents are, you know, only these type of people, or only these type of people. You can't have any family members that's ever been to prison. Well, I have a half brother, you know, he's been in prison. I got an uncle that spent his whole life in prison, and cousins and all that. So I heard all these myths. But then after I started researching it, I found out that no, a lot of this isn't true. I can be an FBI agent. No matter what anybody says, I can be an FBI agent. And that's part of dreaming big. You know, don't let anybody talk you out of your goals or what you want to achieve in life. So that's when I started kind of buckling down and started to focus on what it takes to be an FBI agent. What do I need to do? Well, first of all, I need to start taking school a little more serious. So I started really concentrating on my criminal justice classes, talking to Dr. Robinson offline about criminal justice and the FBI, and he was very encouraging. He said, yep, that's what I think you need to do. I really think you need to do that. And if you're able to achieve that, come back to Lincoln and say something about it. So I started doing that. I also started cleaning up my act as far as credit is concerned, because I read that FBI doesn't like people with bad credit, because what tends to happen is if you have bad credit, we're exposed to people from other countries all the time that's trying to recruit us to be spies against the United States. Well, if you have bad credit and say you owe $50,000, you're a prime target for people from other countries to recruit. So I knew I had to clean that up. Whatever bills I had, even though I couldn't possibly afford some of them, pay $1, pay $2 on it. As long as the FBI sees that you're trying to make an effort to pay your bills, they will make some exceptions, as long as you're not too far in debt. The other thing I focused in on is how I treated people, because I found out that they do background investigations on you, and they want to talk and find out, they want to interview people that you've been associated with, neighbors. In some cases, they'll interview an ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, a host of things. And as I told the class earlier today, is a girlfriend that I dated when I was here at Lincoln, the FBI went and interviewed her. Fortunate for me, I treated her very good. I really did. It was her issues, all right? But I will say this, she did call me and say, hey, just to let you know, the FBI came and interviewed me about you. I told them good things about you, but I still hate you, click. You know? So make sure, men, women, be very careful how you're treating people. Again, I know I'm talking about the FBI, but I'm saying in general, because private industry is starting to mirror what the FBI does when it comes to looking into people's background. So this is, I'm talking in general when I speak in terms of treating people good. But credit, treating people good. I started looking at the time, at that particular time, you know, you had to have at least 3 years work experience, and it would kind of enhance things if you had a master's and different things like that. So I wanted to also concentrate on things like that. You know, okay, after I leave Lincoln, I know I can't be an FBI agent right now, right after graduating, but what's some of the other things I could do? Now, I wish I knew this then as I know now. I could have came into the FBI in another capacity. It's called professional staff employees. Those are all type of occupations. I mean, we have the agents, but we have professional staff. That could be intel analysts, computer scientists, engineers. We have a public affairs unit, lawyers. We even have nurses. I wish I would have came in that route, and then after I gained my experience from the inside, went on ahead and became a special agent from there. But I kind of went the other route. After Lincoln, I was hired 2 different places. One was the Kansas City Police Department. They were having budgetary issues, so they were saying, hold off, we're going to get you in the next available class, academy class. The other job I got was at Allied Signal Aerospace in Kansas City. Really, to be honest with you, I didn't know anything about that company. The only thing I did, my mother used to work for IRS. I sent her some resumes and I said, Mom, on your way to work, could you drop this off at Allied Signal or something? But she did it, and somehow I got a call that, hey, we want you. At the time, they were saying, we want you to leave Lincoln right now and come. And I'm like, hey, this is my last semester. I got to get this degree. So they did decide to wait, but I chose Allied Signal over the Kansas City Police Department because they were paying so much more. They were throwing a lot of money at me. Also, they offered to pay my master's degree, and I had all these other things that they were just constantly throwing at me. Yes, sir. Huh? It's called Allied Signal Aerospace, but don't write that down because since they've changed their name to Honeywell. Most of you all probably know them as Honeywell. That's located in Kansas City, Missouri. So I decided to go that route because, like I said, they were throwing a lot of money at me. So much money, by age 23, I was able to buy a brand new house. Soon after, had a Corvette, a Jeep, and all those things. But the problem was, it wasn't my dream. That wasn't my dream. It was paying the bills, but that wasn't my dream. And one thing about it, once you have a dream of something you really want, whether it's owning your own company, being an FBI agent, or somebody earlier today, a mortician, once you have that passion and that dream, money is not going to soothe that. It's not going to replace that dream. It's really not. And that's where I was. I worked at Allied Signal, though, for 10 years. I must admit I did take advantage of the whole situation. 6 of those years was as a supervisor there. I ended up getting my master's degree there, but you know, I was still waiting on the FBI. There was a hiring freeze. As soon as that hiring freeze was lifted, that's when I made my move to get into the FBI. You know, I had to go through a lot of testing for that. They have a phase 1 test where they're trying to see, you know, testing your logical thinking. There's psychological questions on the test. Not very difficult test. I think 70% of the people pass that particular test. Then I went on to phase 2 testing. That's the interview test. And then that's also a written examination. Okay, not too bad, but only about 50–60% pass that. And from there, you got to take physical fitness tests, and you know, it's the whole thing. And then you go down to Quantico, Virginia for anywhere from 4 to, I think it's 5 or 6 months now. Yeah, they raised it to 6 months. And the reason they raised it is because they added to the curriculum counterterrorism. A lot of counterterrorism, counterintelligence training. I ended up leaving Allied Signal in 1995 and went to the Bureau. Didn't look back whatsoever. I was very pleased with my decision. I feel like I'm living the American dream. I mean, there's no job, in my opinion, much like the FBI, because there's so much you can do within one organization. Normally, jobs you have to kind of move around once you get bored. The FBI is a little different. You can come in and say you're working one violation, say you're working white-collar crime, and you decide you're tired of that, and you want to work drugs and gangs. You can move over and transition into that. Say you want to work counterterrorism matters. You can move over and start working those things. And yet you're doing everything under the same umbrella, same organization without moving. That's one thing that really pushed me toward, working for the FBI. I've always said it's a great organization in the sense that you get a gun, you get a badge, they give you a car, they give you a gas card, and you're making, after your 5th year, you're making almost $100,000 a year, and they even assign you a wife. They said, hey, you're going to marry her, A lot of agents tend to marry each other, I must admit. Have a lot in common because you're doing the same type of work. But, I got to say, when I walked away from Allied Signal to come into the FBI, it was about a $20,000, $30,000 pay cut. But I know a lot more people in our organization that has taken a much bigger pay cut than I did. I had a roommate in the academy. Him and his father owned a law firm. He was making $250,000 a year, and he stepped away from that to become an agent at about $50,000, $60,000 a year, starting off. And he was my roommate all during the academy. So most of us do it for patriotic reasons. If you want to serve your country, that is the job for you. I mean, and that's what most of us do. I remember one time we went through a furlough at work, and which means you don't get paid because Congress hadn't approved the budget. And this was when I first got in 1995. I had a supervisor that said, you guys don't have to come to work. We're on a furlough. Hey, I'll see you next week. But everybody in that office showed up for no pay. Now, we end up getting paid, but that just goes to show that most men and women in the FBI, they do it for patriotic reasons. It's not really about the money. So if you're looking to be rich and all that, it's nothing wrong with that. But get it out your system and then chase your dream. Go after your dream. And I think, honestly, I would start off going after my dream because I wish I would have came in the FBI a lot sooner. I really do wish that. Let me talk a little bit about the FBI as far as, our infrastructure and how we're set up. We have field offices all over the country. We have approximately 400 field offices. Every major city has one in it, but then we have some in smaller towns. I'm sure Jefferson City probably has what's called a resident agency. But 400 over the country. Out of the country, overseas, we have about 60 offices that we work with, overseas, because a lot of times some of our violations lead overseas, so you'll get in touch with an agent that covers that particular country. We have about 13,000 special agents throughout the country and overseas. And then professional staff employees, I want to say maybe 22,000. And those are the positions that support a lot of what the agents do. Like I said, it could be a chemist, it could be an accountant. They support a lot of the agent's work. They're not necessarily under the agent, it's just that we all have to work together. Like, I used to work financial crimes. In order to do some of the analysis that needs to be done, I wasn't a CPA, so I can't do it myself. What I would do is get with a forensic accountant that's in the FBI, and just give them boxes of documents and say, I need you to come up with a final product for me. I need to figure out where this money's being laundered. The same thing with electronics. Sometimes I need computers. I'm not a computer expert, but sometimes during a search warrant, I need some information off this person's computer, and I need I need somebody to mirror that hard drive and take it back and analyze it for me. Well, we have computer people that can do those type of things. So those are our professional staff positions, and like I said, we all, in a coordinated effort, we work together to help solve a lot of these crimes, that we work. The infrastructure, let me see. Washington, D.C., that, of course, that's our main headquarters, and everything flows from that. We have a lot of desks at headquarters, like we'll have a healthcare fraud desk. I'm a supervisor of a healthcare fraud squad. Sometime when I need funding and different things like that, that is the channel I go through to get the funding that I need for investigative purposes, for travel, for equipment, for different things of that nature. I'm going to get into a little bit of the requirements for a special agent, but I'm also tell you some about professional staff, because again, there are two different things, and I wish I would have shared this with the earlier group. Hopefully Dr. Gossett could pass it on, because I didn't tell you this. Most people think to be a professional staff, you got to go through Quantico, you got to be within a certain age group, you got to carry a weapon and all that. No, not for that particular position. That particular position is posted usually online when they post the position, and they put the requirements in the posting. So that can change. Of course, if we're hiring a mechanic, of course, that's different than if we're hiring a nurse. But those requirements are placed online when they post the position. But it's not a position where you have to go to Quantico, you have to meet these physical requirements, you have to be within a certain age requirement. Special agent position's a little different. You have to be between the age of 23 and 37. You have to be between those age brackets. Depending on what you're majoring in some cases you have to have 3 years of full-time work experience to do that. That is the position where you will be carrying a weapon. That's the position you have to go to Quantico and learn all your investigative techniques. You have to learn constitutional law. You have to pass physical fitness tests, firearms tests, and things of that nature. So those are basically the differences. And I want to make sure all of you all knew that, because some people think for the professional staff position, you have to have the same requirements, and you don't. You don't whatsoever. Me, myself, I have, I've been an agent 16 years. I've worked government fraud, civil rights violations. I've worked financial crimes. I was on the United States Secret Service Task Force for 6 years. I was on the Washington Field Office SWAT team for 9 years. That was a extra duty. I worked cases, and then whenever I got a call out, I had to do the SWAT thing. I was an applicant assessor, so I pretty much know about the whole applicant process and how that works. I supervise an applicant squad. I've been an acting unit chief in human resources. And as I mentioned earlier, right now I'm supervising a healthcare fraud squad that consists of about 10 agents, forensic accountant, an intel analyst, and those things. Does anybody have any questions? I hope you have a lot of questions for me, because what I want to try to do, instead of talking about me and the FBI, I'm hoping to take this opportunity and answer some specific questions. So just think about that in your head, because there's just one other thing I did want to share with you about Lincoln University. This school here, Lincoln University, I mean, I feel personally we're second to none. I really, truly feel that way. It's been proven time and time again. We've had doctors that have come out of Lincoln. We have judges, attorneys, you name it. It's the gamut that has come out of Lincoln University. I kind of like to share this story with you guys about Lincoln. I don't think it's about me. It's more about Lincoln than anything. Remember, I was saying here, they teach you a lot of pride and dignity about yourself and following your dreams and those things. My first day at the academy, you walk into a room and it's set up just like this, the way they have this set up. And they go by alphabetical order through the whole 4 months, 6 months that you're there. And the A's, they start here, B, C, D, E, and they go by your last name all the way up to the back. And my name is Winkley, so where do you think I sat? That's right, I was in the back of the class. Well, as they were going through, what they want to know is your name, where you're from, where's your degree, and what are you doing for a living at this point? And they go through that whole ceremony. So one at a time, everybody's getting up doing that. As they were getting up, individuals, I'm from Yale, majored in computer science, all these great things they've done. It's kind of a bragging session. And they're just Yale, Harvard, Harvard Law School, Georgetown Law, and I mean, they're going through all of it. I had many lawyers in the class. I had a dentist, doctors, I mean, just the whole gamut. So when they got back to me, the W's, I'm from Lincoln, I'm proud, of my school, and I feel like I'm just as good as Harvard and Yale and the rest of them. Well, I stand up and I said, I'm from Lincoln University. Well, I could see, because I'm in the back, I could see down and I could see a couple of my classmates whispering, where's Lincoln University? So I had made it a point that before I left this academy, they will know Lincoln University. I made that a point. Not too long after that, about halfway through the training, the director of the FBI at the time, Louis Free, he comes down and he says, this class here will be the first class that I want you guys to choose the person that best exemplifies an FBI agent. He or she has to be good in firearms, they have to be good in academics, they have to be good at physical fitness, all around. They have to be somebody that truly represents, fidelity, bravery, and integrity for this class. What I want is only the class to choose this person. They have to choose it because this is a person that has to be the most respected person in the class. And when this person graduates, one of the students from the class will have to get up and give a speech on that person before they're presented this, this big plaque that they give out. Well, that tradition has carried on throughout the years. That every year a class selects this person. Well, at the end of my training, when it was time to select the person, they selected me. Little old guy from Lincoln University, as the person to win that award. But with that said, again, it's not about me, it's about my pride in my school. That's what at the end of the day that it's all about. During the speech ceremony, the person that got up to give a speech about me before I received the award, one thing he said that I never forgot is, Eddie Winkley, who went to the prestigious University of Lincoln University, located in Jefferson City, Missouri. And that made me extremely proud. The award, I wasn't so much worried about that. I've gotten awards many times over the years, but I was really proud of that moment because my school I mean, we were a part of, we fit in with Yale, Harvard, and the rest of them. So that's what made me proud. And as I was walking off the stage, my class supervisor, he whispered in my ear and he said, "Hey, Eddie, congratulations." He said, "Now I bet you everybody in that class know where Lincoln University is located," which is Jeff City, Missouri. So I was very proud of that moment. Now, at this time, I hope you guys have a lot of questions for me. What I can't answer, I'm hoping that my wife will be able to assist me with. Again, like I said, she's an agent. She's been a supervisor at headquarters, and she's done a lot of good things, worked in San Francisco and other places. All my work has really been done in Washington, D.C. But I've been to headquarters, and now I'm back in the field. But I'm ready for you. I have some ink pens.
Hello, and thank you for watching JCTV. Today we're bringing you a special JCTV production brought to you in partnership with Lincoln University. We were very lucky today to hear from Supervisory Special Agent Eddie Winkley with the FBI. Now, Eddie is a graduate of Lincoln University and came back home to talk to some of the students today about the FBI and also how they can dream big and accomplish those dreams. So Eddie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I won't date you and tell you when you graduated from Lincoln University, but I'm sure some things have changed. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences while you were on campus and maybe some of the changes you noticed when you were back here today?
You know, it's interesting that you asked that. I was here for homecoming, and I saw so many changes on the campus, the enhancements with the library, some of the dormitories that was put up since was last here. I think it was some remarkable changes around the campus itself. It's one of the most beautiful campuses I have ever been at, and I have been to many of them. I had some great experiences while I was here at Lincoln University. This is where I truly learned to become a man and take responsibility, not only for my educational success, but also growing as a person.
Now, one of the things you talked about today when you were talking to the class was making sure people knew where Lincoln University was and what it was all about, because like you said, a lot of the people that go join the FBI, they go to some of the bigger name schools like Harvard, Princeton, Yale, but how would you say your education at Lincoln University compares to those of your coworkers?
I think Lincoln University educational level compares with some of the best institutions, throughout the United States. One thing I have discovered about the Lincoln University educational system is that it's a little more one-on-one with the professors. You get to know them one-on-one. You get to go and talk to them after class and get a little more in-depth about the subject matter. So I think with that particular information that you're getting from these instructors, you're able to go out into the workforce and implement some of those things that you learn here at Lincoln.
Now, was there one event at Lincoln that really prompted you to pursue a career with the FBI?
Yes, ma'am. I was taking a criminal justice class, and one of the professors, he invited an FBI agent to come and speak to the class. From that point, a light turned on in my head, and I always said I wanted to serve not only my community, but also my country. So that's what triggered me to become a special agent.
Now, obviously, you managed to achieve your goal, achieve your dream, if you will, and very successful individual. Were there any real hardships or obstacles, though, you faced as you were pursuing your education and growing up?
Yes, there was many. Of course, I grew up in the inner city in Kansas City, Missouri, and of course, you're exposed to a lot of the inner city life as far as negative things. You're exposed to drugs, you're exposed to crime, a lot of crime, and those things are, what made me want to become a special agent, because going through those type of things, it made me want to give back to my community in some way, and to help others that's, victims of crime.
Out of all the accomplishments that you've had, you've received a lot of awards, obviously have done a lot to be proud of. Is there one accomplishment that you would point to that you're most proud of?
I'm most proud of receiving the Fidelity, Bravery, and Integrity Award. And the reason I'm most proud of it is a lot of things that I learned here at Lincoln University, I was able to implement through my training at Quantico, Virginia for 4 months. And with that award, it exemplifies someone exemplifies all the true values of being a special agent. And so I would say that's the award that I most appreciated.
What are the things that you like most about working for the FBI?
I like the options of being able to do a lot of different things within one umbrella, which is the FBI. You can work various violations within the organization. You have the freedom to move around to work those different violations. And also, each person is looked at as a professional, and we work independent. So it's not that 9-to-5 job that you go to each and every day. It's the type of job that you could work anywhere from 10 to 15 hours a day, because you're so engulfed in trying to save a victim of crime.
Now, obviously, you worked in the private sector for a while after you graduated, but do you think that students that are interested in pursuing a career with the FBI, that's something they can start looking into right after they graduate?
Yes, I would say if you're interested in becoming a special agent, I would highly recommend going to get a work experience, because during our testing process, one of the tests is an experience-based test, where work experience would really help your opportunities, increase your opportunities in getting the job. Now, for the professional staff positions, I highly recommend taking advantage of the opportunity to come into the FBI right away, right after college. And some of those positions doesn't require work experience.
Now, you touched on this a little bit, the professional staff versus becoming a special agent. A lot of people might think, well, let's work with the FBI. You got to be involved in, criminal justice or law enforcement. You have to carry a gun, and you have to have a certain kind of attitude and a certain kind of personality. But is there truly something for everyone in the FBI?
There's something for every person within the FBI. We bring in people from all disciplines. And they come in as subject matter experts. One thing about the FBI, we like a diversified skill set. That's what's going to help us with investigating crimes. That's what helped us move forward into the next century.
Are there any skills that students can develop or focus on that would really set them apart from other people that are applying with the FBI? Are there any really skill sets that right now the FBI is looking for?
Yes, one thing that we truly value is individuals that speak a second language. That always helps enhance the process of them coming into the FBI. We're looking for people with computer science backgrounds. Different critical skills that a person can bring to the table, again, to help us move cases forward. As you know, we have gotten more and more into intelligence, and intelligence analysts, individuals with that type of experience, it also helps.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the climate is like working at the FBI? Is it an environment you enjoy? Is it something that is really strict or more laid back, or is it kind of just it depends on what you do, maybe?
Exactly. It totally depends on what you do. Each and every person that works within the FBI, of course, we take our job serious, because we're here to protect citizens of the United States and to uphold the Constitution. So everything that we do, we definitely take serious. But it is a family-orientated atmosphere within the FBI. We look at each other as family, but our main priority is of course, combating terrorism and protecting individuals of the United States against crime.
And I imagine you could develop some pretty good relationships with your coworkers, and I think that you're a prime example of, because your wife is actually an agent, right?
Yes, she is. She's an agent that works out of the Baltimore field office. Fantastic woman. You know, one thing about the FBI, because we are family oriented and we spend a lot of time working together, in a lot of cases, you know, we get to know each other on a social level, in a social atmosphere. And in some cases, it leads to love, and which eventually leads to marriage.
Well, Eddie, I'm going to let you go here pretty soon, but I did want to ask if there's any one piece of advice or a piece of wisdom you could impart to students right now at Lincoln University, what would that be?
One thing that I would really love each and every student I really want them to follow their passion or their dream, whatever that might be. Of course, my dream was to work for the FBI, but whatever occupation they're pursuing, just to basically give their all in all to that occupation and to follow their dreams and to take all the necessary steps to make sure that dream is fulfilled.
One thing I did want to kind of follow up on that is at Lincoln University, we have a lot of non-traditional students. We have students that are a little bit older, adults that have been in the workforce, or people that come and do night classes. Is it ever too late to follow your dream or try to maybe change career paths?
No, especially not within the FBI. Of course, with the special agent position, we have an age requirement. You have to be between the age of 23 and 37 for that particular position. But for our professional staff position, there is no age requirement except that you have to be at least 18 years of age. But we have all type of occupations, from intel analysts to mechanics to computer scientists to biologists. So it's never too late to come in and, you know, change your career path.
Right. Well, Eddie, thank you so much for joining us today. I really do appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd like to thank our viewers at home for watching JCTV. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have more great JCTV programming coming your way. Thank you so much for watching.